Sentence diagramming basics 2. Our target for today, our goal is to be able to diagram adjectives and adverbs. Now let me remind you that we sentence diagram in order to, number one, be able to identify parts of speech and understand how they are used. And secondarily to that, to build critical thinking skills. Let's take a look at the example sentence, the dogs howl. We have the subject and the predicate in this sentence. Now, to find out if a word is an adjective, you ask questions like which one, or what kinds, whose, or how many. To discover if a word is an adverb, you ask the question, does that word answer where it is, when it happened, why it happened, or how? So when you diagram, and we covered this last time, when you diagram the subject and the predicate, right, it both go on the most important line, the main line. The subject goes here, the predicate and the helping verbs go there. So let's now look at adjectives and adverbs. Decoration. Those 3 brown dogs howl. So first let's identify the subject, dogs, the predicate. What are the subjects doing? Well, they howl. Those describe dogs. Which dogs? Those dogs. Those 3 brown dogs. Notice these are 3 adjectives describing dogs. The dogs howled sorrowfully. Dogs howled. The is an article. Sorrowfully is an adverb. Don't worry about that. It's not for you. You're good. Sorrowfully is an adverb. That's why it goes under the verb howled, because adverbs modify verbs. They also modify other adverbs and adjectives, but we won't talk about that now. Let's look at the next sentence. Sorrowfully the dogs howled. Now this time sorrowfully is at the beginning of the sentence. So it still functions the same way. It's describing how the dogs howled. So sorrowfully goes under the verb. Even though it's at the beginning of the sentence, it's still an adverb. Let's look at these practice sentences. Go ahead and pause the video. Go ahead and do it. And do these sentences. Pause it. There you go. All right, so you diagram the sentences. Let's see if you got it right. The first sentence, number 1. Poor Bob howled pitifully. Bob is a dog, by the way. Bob, subject, howled is the predicate. Poor describes Bob. It's an adjective. That's why it goes under the noun. It modifies, it describes the noun. Pitifully ends in ly. It describes how Bob howled. Just put pit. Number 2, that tired Bob was panting furiously. Here we have Bob. Was is a helping verb. Panting is the main verb. That is an adjective. Describes which Bob? That Bob. That tired Bob. Bob was tired. How was Bob panting? Well, furiously. It's an adverb because it's describing how Bob was howling. Let's look at number 3. Yesterday, Bob might have been digging pits. Bob might have been, main verb, digging pits yesterday. Yesterday explains when. It's an adverb. When was Bob digging pits? Yesterday. Now, this last word, pits, it's a direct object, and we'll get more into this later. But the direct object is important. It goes on the main line. So I'm going to draw a smaller line like that. It doesn't pass the important line. And pits goes right here. All right, let me kind of erase this so you can kind of... All right, pits is a direct object right here. That's the deal. But don't worry about that. We'll get to that later on. Number 4, did Bob really bark continuously? Now remember, with questions, you rearrange the word to make a statement. Bob did bark. Continuously. I'll put a C for continuously. He really barked. Really is an adverb, again, ends in ly. Finally, number 5. Why should that recalcitrant, disobedient Bob have barked so dismally? Bob should have barked. Now this is tricky, okay? So you probably were stuck on number 5 because of the word why, right? Because you couldn't really rearrange it to make a statement. Why answers, right? It's an adverb. Why Bob barked. So why goes under the verb. So that was tricky. That describes which Bob, that Bob, and Bob is recalcitrant, disobedient. It's a nice word. Probably a meme word. That recalcitrant Bob should have barked so dismally. Now, I made a mistake right now. I got you. Barked dismally is an adverb. Now, so is an adverb, but it's modifying dismally. How dismally? So dismally. So it goes like this. Think of like a little arm. That's your arm. It's a little muscle. So is an adverb to dismally. It answers how dismally, so dismally. Remember that adverbs can also modify other adverbs, as in this case. All right. So we diagram adjectives and adverbs.